Welcome into another episode of Outside Shots. I am Saul Bookman, and I'm here with the one, the only, the former Sixth Man of the Year, and world traveler, Eddie Johnson.
Always, I'm always the Sixth Man of the Year. There's no former, it's none of that. You either good looking or you're not good looking.
All right, I mean, okay, like once a Marine, always a Marine. Is that what it is?
Why are you so tall? Okay, there we go. Now
that's
the right size. Yeah. Now you're a little bitty guy. That's how I like it. Little bitty guy.
We are off to a rousing start. You can tell it's been a couple of weeks since EJ and I have spoken because we're already on one. So EJ, first of all, welcome back. How was your travels? How was your trip?
Fantastic. Just an unbelievable. I mean, we're going to get into that right now because
No, we'll get into it a little bit later. I just want to
later, but fantastic. I mean, just tremendous bucket list opportunity to go back home, and I'll just leave it at that. And we talk about it later. But what a tremendous trip.
No, that was fantastic to kind of follow you on Instagram and see what you were doing, man. It was truly inspiring. So, but like I said, we'll get to that in a little bit. But first, obviously, you didn't miss much while you were gone. The Suns win 2 out of their last 3. They're a game and a half back of that final play-in spot. But more importantly, it looks like they're assembling some semblance of confidence. And they played better basketball, even though they faltered late against the Denver Nuggets. EJ, obviously catching up and kind of seeing, how things have gone. First with the Clippers comeback, an incredible comeback down just a ton. And then Con Gillespie chips in, hits that big 3 at the end, and everybody's kind of, going crazy about that. And you feel like, oh, is that going to be the turning point? And then they fast forward to Denver and they lose in overtime. And they had an opportunity there to win, but they didn't. And then you come back yesterday and you play against the Dallas Mavericks, a depleted Dallas Mavericks team who barely had enough guys to even play, let alone try to get a dub. And listen, the Suns took care of business. It wasn't the prettiest, but they took care of business and they won the game, which is what they had to do. So overall, what's been your takeaway?
It's been a tough year, man. This has been, in my 25 years of calling Phoenix Suns basketball, this has been the most difficult for me individually. Wow. And I'm serious. 25 years. This has been the most difficult because of expectations and falling short. When you have 3 unbelievable basketball players on your team, and we have struggled to find a consistency. Now, I've said this on this show many times, and I think people, you can just apply this to life. Like, some people think they can have a lot of fun when they're young, and they can maybe experiment with drinking, experiment with drugs, get into trouble. And then all of a sudden, after doing all those things, right? Then they say, oh, I want to do right now. Oh, I need to do better now. I need to get focused now. And that's a good thing. But you're still going to pay a price for what you did. And I'm not going to name names, but I know I have a lot of friends that dabbled in stuff like that when they were younger. And now they're paying a price for it as they've gotten older. Health-wise, or whatever it is, right? Maybe resume is bad because of what they did in the past, and they find themselves trying to get out of it. Well, how does this relate to the Suns? Well, didn't get off to a good start. Lost games early. Dug a hole for themselves. And now they're trying to get out of that hole. And they're finding it to be extremely difficult. That's life. Now let's use Oklahoma City and Cleveland. Started the season 100% focused, running 100 miles an hour. And they can't even lose on purpose. Think about that. They can't even lose on purpose. They can show up and have one of the worst games, and they still win. That is the beautiful part about being ready every night, being ready at the beginning, not taking anything for granted. And I'm not saying the Suns were all those things, but they can look in the mirror and they can question themselves when they were losing to teams they should have beaten early in the season to be able to build that confidence. And so that's what's gone on, man. And now trying to make the play in, trying to fight their way. And guess what? The most difficult schedule in the league. Because we didn't take advantage of the teams that we should have beat. Portland, losing to them back to back. Losing to beat up Memphis teams lately. I mean, you going down the line. Losing to Brooklyn. Just think about the losses that we have had this season. And that's why. And that's why they're finding it extremely difficult to climb out of it. Because when you dig too deep in that hole and you look up all of a sudden and you don't have no rope, it's hard to pull yourself out, man. And yesterday they won. Well, is it something you're jumping up and down for? Like Dallas beat up and they still was hanging around, right? Because we turned it over early. I think we took care of the turnovers late, so we didn't turn it over as much, but we were allowing them to hang around. And that's something, man, we haven't experienced this year. So how many blowouts have you seen us have this year? Well, we can rest the guys in the fourth quarter.
Well, one, maybe one,
maybe 2, 3, 4 games. That's it.
Yeah, not many.
And that's the struggle, man. And you know, Detroit was the worst team in the league last year. But what did they do? They played hard. They played hard, man. And you know what? That playing hard last year and their struggles, it carried over to this year. They showed up. They like, we're not going through that again. We're not losing that. No, we're not losing 20-something games in a row. No, we're not doing that. And guess what happened? They started winning. And then they started winning, and then they found confidence. And then what else happened? They started winning games that they probably should not have won. That's the power of the W, man. It's like it's a roller coaster. Once you understand how to win, it just continually goes up. Once you find a way where you're losing, and all of a sudden you want to redirect it, then you're just up and down in short heels like that. And that's basically what we've been all year.
That's exactly what we've been all year. It's been wildly inconsistent. And I'm glad you brought up Detroit because, a year ago, both teams fired their head coach because they were not satisfied with the trajectory of the team. You can understand it in Detroit's position. Obviously, you lose 27 games in a row. You can just not justify that in any way, shape, or form. But the Suns and the Pistons both hired new coaches. And I think this is an aspect. And Eddie, obviously, I understand your role with the Suns, and I'm not going to put you in an uncomfortable position.
No, you can say, look, listen, you can say whatever you want to say, okay? And I work with a guy on Sirius XM NBA radio, please. All day long, he's ripping and talking. No, you have a right to say whatever you want to say.
I don't think it sounds weird to say that the Suns should move on from their third straight coach in 3 years, but I just do not understand what Coach Bud does half the time. I don't understand what his rotations are. I don't understand why you'll have X player have a great game, and then the next game they barely even see any burn. Look at Colin Gillespie the other day. He showed energy, enthusiasm, effort, and he helped spark that comeback against the Clippers. And then the next game he gets 5 minutes of burn, and that's it. And in a game where you could have had it, and the effort at times looked a little questionable. I just don't understand where we're going with this with Coach Bud. I'm lost. I'm lost in that regard because I can't look at it through his eyes and be like, oh, I can see what he's trying to do. Because I can't. It hasn't been successful. It's been 30, they're 30 and 34 for a reason. So
Right.
I don't know. You explain it to me because I can't fathom it.
Well, and right. I mean, look, it's not your job to look at it through his eyes. You're looking at it through your eyes. You're looking at it in how you see it and how you feel it should be.
And it ain't
And
good.
I don't think Bud can look at you and say, well, you're wrong. What he can say is that's what you believe in, but here's what I believe in. And that's the part about a coach, right? Like he's going to try to do it his way.
Mm-hmm.
And even though we might not agree with it, he's still going to do it his way. And then what happens is, like, as most coaches, they're like, look, if I'm going to get in trouble or if I'm going to put my job in jeopardy, but I'm going to do it my way. So if something does happen to me, I knew that I did it what and how I believed I should do it. And then I'm going to be judged on that. And that's where he is. I agree with you. I was a role player, okay? So I'm always going to take role player at times in my career. Don't get it wrong, people. I was straight up monster, okay? But the point is, I knew how to play a role. And I knew what my responsibilities were. And so for me, I always had to be judged on exactly what I was doing at the time, right? And so, because I'm not like Tom Chambers going to run out there regardless. Like, if Tom Chambers misses 10 shots in a row, he's still going to get his minutes. If Kevin Johnston had missed a ton of shots in a row, he's still going to get his minutes. Like, the star players on the team always going to get their minutes, regardless of what they're doing, right? Mm-hmm. They're going to get more rope because of what? Because they have longevity in regards to the consistency of what they did and how they're viewed. Okay, fine. But say like a guy like me, like if my shot's off, then if I'm not defending and rebounding to justify to stay in to get my shot on, he's going to take me out, right? So that's what's going to happen. And so for me, I love to protect the role guys. I would love to have seen Colin Gillespie get an opportunity to play some sincere minutes after what he did in the Clipper game to save the Suns from another loss. Like, as a player, you feel like you go home and you're like, okay, man, I had a great game. I'm sure he looked at the film. I'm sure his parents and all his friends called him. And he was like, okay, I'm ready for the next game because he's going to give me a good run.
Yep.
He gets in, he hits a three, and he doesn't play anymore. That takes your confidence.
Yeah.
It truly does. And look, I would have that discussion with Bud, but that doesn't mean he's going to change how he is. But I'm a grown man. I'm a grown-ass man. I can state my opinion. I'm not like going at the coach. I'm not doing any of that, but I disagree. I think the kid should have gotten longer rope to see what he did. He got in the game yesterday as soon as he got in, and I don't call it garbage time as some people do. I call it still learning time. He hit a three. I mean,
for 3 minutes is not enough.
It's not nothing. But what my point is, this kid, the one thing you don't want to do, and this is where I thought the coaches in my life were great. Cotton Fitzsimmons, best coach I ever had at the pro level. Lou Henson, best coach I ever had, obviously at the college level, is what they got on me, they rode me, and then they what? They gave me when I earned it. Like, when I earned it, they gave it to me. And as a basketball player, man, like, that's all you live for. Because the one thing, and people don't get this, the one way to get at an athlete is not take his money. It's not curse him out. Take his minutes. Take his minutes. That is what we crave because we want to be out there performing. And if we felt like we've earned the right to go perform, then we'll get disappointed if it doesn't come to fruition.
Yeah.
So, so that's a part of it that I think Bud doesn't really look into too much. I think that's the case. I mean, look at Ryan Dunn. He didn't play. So I know his confidence is way down. So it's that part, but it's some coaches that adhere to veterans on one end, right? And there's some coaches that will lean toward younger players and maybe give them a little bit more rope. All right. It seems like Bud is not that kind of coach. So not to say that he's wrong until proven wrong, right? So I think that's the part that he has to live with if things don't go right to get
Uh,
that criticism of it.
Well, I'll say this. This is where you lose me as a coach in your philosophy, right? I think even at the NBA level, there's still opportunities for development. And you look at guys like Bol Bol, Colin Gillespie, Ryan Dunn, Oso Ighodaro, and you got to think, okay, our schedule early on is not as tough as it is on the back end. So what are the opportunities I can kind of see what these guys have more at the beginning of the season, to see if there's any room for development moving forward. And he did that to a degree with Ryan and Oso, and I think Oso a little less than Ryan, but not of late. And Colin obviously was elsewhere in the G League and all that stuff. But I just don't feel like he took advantage of the opportunity to develop these guys in order to have them be bona fide contributors down the road. And then you look at a guy like Bol Bol, who all season has just been riding pine. And then all of a sudden, a month ago, he starts getting some burn and he starts playing at a pretty good level and contributing. But then
Based
his
on
minutes are
having a
also,
good game.
yeah.
If he
And
didn't
then,
have a good game that particular night, he probably is not where he is. So I give credit to Bol Bol for jumping the opportunity, but I'm gonna get on Bol Bol right now. You can't relax, man. You're on borrowed time.
yeah, yeah.
And last few games, not happy with them.
And that's
Not
fine. And that's
you
fine.
know.
But again, the course of action throughout the season, why did it take damn near 40, 50 games to even see Bol Bol get significant
Well,
minutes
we
at
don't
any
know.
rate?
Okay, well, Saul, this is why I protect the coaching staff or
Sure,
whatever.
sure, sure.
Only Bol Bol can answer that.
I get that. And you said
And
that before.
so,
And you said
yeah,
that before for sure.
because you just don't know if
I
practice habits were bad, maybe later too, not the first guy on the bus.
sure.
All those things, man, can hold back your growth in the eyes of the coach. And
Okay.
and so that's the part that only Bobo can answer.
And that's fine, but like then you look at the other guys and you can't necessarily apply the same thing to them, right? Like Colin Gillespie's not that type of dude. He just isn't. Like at Villanova, he was one of the toughest players that they've had. I've seen him play. I saw him play against Houston back in, was it 2022, 21, 22.
Mhm.
And Houston had a bunch of dogs on that team, and Colin
Right.
Gillespie did not flinch, not a second. And he battled them all
No,
game
he's
long. And
tough, man.
I look,
Tough
yeah, and
dude.
I'm sitting there and I'm looking at when some of these dudes are just not coming to the table with effort and physicality and intensity, and you have somebody there that is, you got to give them some more burn than you are. And I just do not understand the prospect of benching players because you're trying to see what you've already seen a million times.
I agree.
You
Saul, man, I'm with you. The frustrating part of dissecting a coach is always going to be that, right? Bud's not the only one. He won't be the last. It's 15 guys over there, 3 extra if they want to put them in uniform, to rotate them out, and that is not an easy job, right? But uh, we get frustrated as fans, people watching, and we see a guy and we're like, man, give that guy a chance and all of that, right? And so I get it. And then that's going to be something that has to be corrected. It has to be adjusted because let's face it, regardless how you look at it, those are the guys you're going to need during the course of a season, right? You look at Oklahoma City. They look, Shea Gilgis, MVP without a doubt, boom, can play. Jalen Williams can play. All right. After that, seriously, I mean, they all can play. Don't get me wrong. But when you look at them, if you took them off of that team and you put them somewhere else and make them a number 2 or 3 guy, most of them dudes will probably fail.
Yeah.
They probably would fail. So to me, what Coach Dagnall has done, he's given them all a chance. And out of giving them that chance, he's found their strengths, their weaknesses, how they can help his team. And now they're sitting there with the second best record in the NBA, one game behind Cleveland. Just imagine that. And Cleveland's on a 13, 14 game winning streak, and they still just one game behind them because they're winning. So that part, and like I said, if I had ever coached in this league, and I had an opportunity to get into coaching when I was done, I did. It was either this or coaching. Okay. The more I think about it, I wish I kind of got into coaching, but I just didn't want to leave my kids. Okay. And that was just my decision that I made. But I would be a coach that catered to younger players to be an energy vessel for the veterans and build them up to have a protective device for me. Because now if our veterans aren't out there doing the job, I would turn to them. Like Cotton would substitute 5 players at one time if the starter stunk to embarrass them.
Yes.
To embarrass them, man. Like, no, man. No. Not ready. Go get them. And nobody wants to ever substitute with 5 guys. But Cotton would do it to send a message of embarrassment because nothing is just guaranteed for you as a player. And at times this year defensively, that starting 5, and look, they can look in the mirror and they know it. They were not connected. They were not communicating, and it cost us. It cost us games. And I think that the Denver game the other day was a microcosm of it.
Yeah.
Down the stretch, 24-second violation. Okay. Plumlee gets a rebound, and he just held it up like the Statue of Liberty for Michael Porter Jr. to take it. When he knew you grab that rebound and you hit somebody with your elbows to get them off you.
Yep.
So it's those kind of things that we have suffered with this year that really has cost us. And so just the communication part has to improve. Like, we got a nice opportunity here. Let's just put it where it is. Despite all the bad things, Saul, we have a nice opportunity here to still do something special. Now, it doesn't look like we can do it, right? So it's almost like North Carolina State against the Houston Cougars of years ago with Hakeem Olajuwon and Clyde Drexler, right? I mean, we have so many instances of things like that happening. Now, granted, that's one game. But the point is, like Miami, 7th seed a couple of years ago, they got to the finals. They were in the play-in. They got to the finals. So we do know things can happen. But they're only going to happen is if you totally 100% commit. And look, I don't like the fact that Kyrie Irving went down with injury. I don't like the fact that Anthony Davis went down with injury. I don't wish that on anybody for the advantage that I could get because of it. But the Suns have an advantage now. The Dallas Mavericks are going to keep losing. There's no way those guys teams as teams realize and scout these guys like Marshall and all these dudes, they're gonna cut them off, and they're gonna keep losing. But are we gonna be able to win to catch them? Okay, and are we gonna be dissatisfied with getting to number 10? Are we gonna try to fight to get to number 9? Are we gonna try to do something special? The only way that's gonna happen, you got to get a winning streak. You got to win 8, 9 in a row. I mean, will you do that and then go into the playoffs on a good roll like Dallas did last year and get to the finals?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the road is crazy. It seems like it's just like no way, right? Suns getting the play-in. They got to win 2 games to get in to the playoffs, for one. Then they got to play the number 1 seed or the number 2 seed, which is going to be Oklahoma City or the Lakers if they can hold on with LeBron being out. All right. All right. Then the next round, they got to play, if they get past that, they're going to have to play a Denver, or a team like that. So the road is unbelievably difficult if you look at it. But as an athlete, you seize the opportunity and you say, man, let's go try to see if we can do it. And we'll see.
I appreciate your positivity.
Well, it's not positivity. For me, yeah, it's just like it's not over till it's over, right? Like if you and I are walking down an alley and we encountered 8 dudes that had weapons, and there's no way we feel like we're gonna get out of it, what are we gonna do? Are we just gonna just lie on the ground and say, go ahead? Or are we gonna try to fight like crazy to get out of there because our life's on the line? Like, that's how you're supposed to look at it. And that's how I look at things. I don't always just give in to defeat until it's over. And I think that's what I'm saying about this team and anybody that competes in life. You know, you don't give up until it's actually over. You know, and if you do that, you're going to have more wins than you have losses.
Well, in the words of Lenny Kravitz, all the times we tried and all the tears I've cried, baby, it ain't over till it's over. I'm not feeling it. I don't feel like it. I feel like it's over. It's been over. They might get to the play-in. This is me speaking. They might get to the play-in. They might be the 10th seed, but I don't see them getting to the playoffs through that play-in because I see what they are. They are who they've told you they are. They've proven it too many times, and they've had multiple opportunities to try and bounce back and get back on track. And they continuously find ways to not get back on track. And listen, I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid anymore on that. Like, I'm not hopeful anymore. Maybe this is the lowest I've been. Maybe this is the lowest I've been as a Suns fan. But I just utter disappointment. Just utter disappointment across the board. You know, and I know you did. But it just, again, there's a lot still left to play. So hopefully I'm wrong. I'd love to see these guys reel off, 14 of their last 18 or something like that. But I just don't know if it's really in the DNA to be able to do something like that. So
tonight's another test, right?
Yeah, to a team that they should have beat last time.
They should have beat last time, and they don't have arguably their best player. You can say that in Jaren Jackson. They got 2 guards out there, and a lot of times it's easy to beat guards than it is interior players, and so. Let's see on a back-to-back defensively what we can do to shut down one of them, just one of them, and get a good victory. They barely won yesterday against the team with the Pelicans they beat yesterday that they should beat, and the Pelicans had nobody. They had no one, and I think they only beat them by 3. So the Suns need to go in there and get this victory and take advantage of it.
They need to. There's a lot of other things we can do. We can throw shade a lot of different ways, but we will do that after we come back from this break. Folks, if you don't know about Shady Rays, you really need to know about Shady Rays. I'm sorry, not Shady Rays. Circle K. How about that? I don't know if they have Circle K over in Africa. I'm going to say probably not. But Circle K is nationwide here in the United States of America, and
we got to get one over there. We got to get one there,
and especially here in the Valley. Check out all the great locations. Also, I want to give a shout out to a gentleman by the name of Evan. Saw him at the Kansas game, and he was a big Outside Shots fan, Suns fan. Watches the show, and he also partakes in Circle K as well. Circle K is nationwide. It's one of the best things you can stop and get your convenience right there. All the snacks, all the gas. You can save yourself 25 cents off a gallon for your first 5 fill-ups if you just download the Inner Circle app. So download the Inner Circle app. Take advantage of all those freebies, all those hookups today by going to circlek.com/Inner Circle. And then on top of that, you see that beautiful lid that EJ's wearing. That is a Branded Bills lid right there. Branded Bills, one of the best hat brands out there. EJ, I do want to give you some love because I do appreciate that even on your travels, you have been sporting not only PHNX gear, but Branded Bills merch as well. EJ was sporting, look at that beautiful hat right there, that PHNX Phoenix hat, Branded Bills with your beautiful group of people that traveled with you to Africa. It was just, listen, Branded Bills, they designed the hats. They have a great team over there that does great work on the merch, and you can save yourself up to 20% by going to brandedbills.com and using promo code PHNX to get yourself a hat like EJ is wearing right now.
That's right.
All right. Okay. So outside of that, let's get to one other topic. You know, Kevin Durant. What I love about Kevin Durant is that he is constantly on the Twitter streets fighting for his life. I feel like he's out there just, fighting the good fight, trying to give people better perspective on things. And I think one of the things that he has constantly been going after is just this constant, and listen, man, I think I have felt this more than any other time in my life. It's just this constant barrage of negativity, comparison. It's always like, oh yeah, you're great, but you didn't do this. Oh yeah, you're great, but you didn't do this. You're not really great because you didn't do this. Like these kind of things, right? It's a constant barrage of negativity, which is a little bit different than constructive criticism. And if you don't know really what I'm talking about, Gilbert Arenas actually has a great way that he kind of illustrated why Kevin Durant probably feels this way.
We grew up in an era where they only highlighted your excellence. He is playing in an era where it's all personal hate, no factual anything. He grew up, it's all about winning and going out there doing your best. And that's what he's been trying to do. That's what all these kids has been trying to do. And they're criticized. Their legacies is torn apart by people who don't put in the same time, who do not look at the game the same way. And that's not what they grew up on. When you talk about Magic, Bird, Charles Barkley, Dunk, all these people, it was all their greatness. We don't know about their wives. We don't know who their kids were. Now that's all this era is about. You averaging 28, 7, and 7. Your legacy ain't shit. It's empty points. Who are you? This and that. So yes, it makes him tear up because he knows how much he's put into this game. But the people who's judging it, they've learned from reality TV.
1,000,000%, 1,000,000%. And what he's referring to is Kevin Durant getting emotional on the Netflix series, the Olympic Netflix series, which is fantastic. If you haven't had an opportunity to watch it, you should. And I think he's got a point. He was talking about empty calories, right? How many times did we hear that about Devin Booker, about how he's only good against bad teams, or he's only good because he's on a losing team? And then he gets some wins, and people still try to discredit him, right? Kevin Durant, much the same way. Every single time you talk about Kevin Durant, if you're a Kevin Durant hater, the first thing you say is, "Oh well, he never won a ring without Steph." It's like, oh, stop and miss me with that, because the Warriors might not have won without him either. Like it just is. It's a constant negative space, and I don't know where it changed, but I think this allowance of social media to let people into people's lives, athletes' lives, to give them a little bit more of a deeper look into who they are, who they're associated with, and all this stuff, has clouded the context of what they are on the court. And I think that's a very, very, very bad thing.
Yeah, look, social networking has created this big round ball of having people, some people just should not be in the room. Some people just should not be in the room. We have basically mixed everybody together in one entity, and a lot of these people don't even deserve to be in it. They don't. They haven't earned the right to be in it. I remember Michael Jordan's 50th birthday party, and R. Kelly was singing, okay? And come on now, if R. Kelly's singing, everybody was paying attention, all right? All right, so what happened on one side of the room, you had Michael Jordan, LeBron, I think Magic, Carmelo was over there, Dwayne Wade was over there, Charles Barkley was over there. And I'm not going to just call out names that were in that circle. Some of them guys didn't deserve to be in that circle. They did. Like, that circle's reserved for MJ, Magic. It's a separation, right? Hall of Fame. Use that example. Like, the Hall of Fame, to me, used to be really like, man, that's the best of the best. Now you can't say that. Like, so you're going to tell me, you say Hall of Famer, that is some players that's up there with Bill Russell, that's up there with Jerry West, that's up there with, no, they're not. Like, they might be in the Hall of Fame, but if they had a room for the Hall of Fame and they separated everybody, only about maybe 10 to 12 to 15 guys will be in a room by themselves, and the rest of the other Hall of Famers be in another room. So now look at social networking. You got athletes that's on it, right? And you got these people that's on there, and they say the craziest stuff. Like Skip Bayless talking about KD is washed. Like, here's a dude that's made money off of ripping athletes. That's what he's done. That's all he's done. Okay? Not saying he's not knowledgeable. You should be knowledgeable. You're sitting up reading all the time. Okay, you're knowledgeable, but that doesn't mean that you can take your knowledge and then apply it to break down a player and try to justify why he is not this and not that when you didn't do it. How do you know? Past reading it. But they get on and they do it. And they rip and they say all these things like they went through it. Skip Bayless couldn't score if you gave him a ladder, a flashlight, lifted him up on a freaking gurney, and laid him and put him next to the damn rim. Okay? But he gonna talk about somebody in there and what they can do? Come on. It's a joke, man. And so these people, they come in and they want to go at you and they want to say something about you. And you know what? They would never do it to your face. Like, you know what I would love to see? Since the owner of X, he wants to take over the whole government world now and fire people, and he wants to make everything right. Why don't you make people have to put their address and their real phone number, just like you would do a passport, to join your ex? Okay, then we know we have their true picture. We know what they do for a living, because now what they do is up on Twitter. And now let them comment. They won't. They won't even get in because they're cowards. Cowards. Because they want to hide in the basement, probably with mommy still, 38 years old, on the couch, and they want to rip you and get on you and then go hide again. But what if they can't hide like Kevin Durant can't hide? What if they can't hide? And now make a comment. Stand up behind it with your job right there behind you. We know where you work. Now do it. They won't, because they're cowards. And that's why I call them water boys and couch potatoes. They really want to know why? That's why I have no respect for you. Because if you want to rip me because you know who I am, you go to Suns games, you see me. But you sit up in the stands over in section whatever, and you're hiding. That's the part that drives me nuts, man. And so, sorry about that long rant.
No, it's fine.
That's the part. That's the part that drives me nuts. It's like, you get these people say stuff, man, and they're so envious, and like this back and forth with this LeBron and MJ stuff, right? I always find myself trying to protect, the whole thing about it. Like, I don't have to protect MJ. He's not playing anymore. He's not playing anymore. But they're going after a dude that's 40 years old, that's out there doing something and setting examples for your kids. Don't give up because you got the money. Don't let down because you got paid. This is a dude, man, that's led his life good. He hasn't had any issues with the law. Okay, forget about his personality. Okay, if it ain't nothing wrong with you, something wrong with you. So everybody's got a weird personality. Saul, I deal with him all the time. So, so everybody's got a weird personality. But what they want to do now, because they're so envious and they just can't stand somebody with so much success, that they nitpick on them. They nitpick on the little things that don't even matter. Judge him on the court, man. You don't live with him. Why do you care how he lives his life? Why do you care that he got his son into the NBA when you would have probably did the same thing, and you're probably doing it? You probably got your kid a job at a company over another kid just because they knew you. want to hear it. So it's just that stuff, man, drives me nuts, man. And you know what? I just swear sometimes I want to take some of these people, man, and I just put them in the room with me. Let's do it. You tough? Let's do it.
I mean,
Get my
listen,
MMA stuff out. Just do it. Ugh, man,
EJ,
ticks me off.
I know you get it. I know you get it a lot more than I do for sure. But like, yeah, listen, I know what you're talking about, because there's a lot of the same people that will just talk absolute trash about you. They would never say it to your face. And even if they did say it to your face and you backed up your talk, they would immediately back down. Like, that's just what it is. Like, I have never met a troll in person.
No.
Never.
No.
I've never met a troll in person.
No.
Because they don't want to say it to your face. They're all cowards.
And everybody on Twitter is not that. I want to say this. Everybody on social networking is not that. And those are the people that I totally respect. And they know who they are. If they make a comment, and even if it's against what I said, if they don't curse me, if they don't call me a name or anything like that, then I will respond, or I might not respond. I'll leave it like it is. That's your opinion. But if you get on there and all of a sudden you want to go negative, then I'll go negative. If you say my mama, your mama, I'm gonna give you back what you giving me, because I'm from Chi-Town. I can the city Eddie can come out of me too, just like it comes out of Kevin. Like what Kevin said today towards Skip Bayless. F it. We both are washed. He has a right to do that if you're going to say that about him.
Absolutely. Oh, man. Just be better. Overall, just be better. Everybody needs to be better overall. Again, constructive criticism, cool. But I've seen just the attacks on players, the attacks on players from every single angle, getting personal with people and just all different types of things. It's just what is the point here?
Jealous.
I thought the whole
jealousy.
I thought the whole point of this was to enjoy sports and enjoy the banter of different opinions and perspectives without crossing that line. And I think people far too many times just cross that line and it gets out of hand, and it's just wild.
Something else getting ready to happen. You already know it. Shai Gilgeous laid the hammer down on Jokic in regards to, we always know, late in the season, people him and Han on voting, and now it comes down to head-to-head play, right? I remember years ago, James Harden got the best of LeBron late. Guess what? James Harden got votes for MVP. It just happens, right? You win more than the other guy, you're going to get more votes in that category, right? Shai Gilgeous is the best scorer in the league. I mean, he's had multiple 40-point games this season. He's got 3 in a row going right now. You're going to get votes for that. You're on a team where you got some no names, but you're playing well. All of a sudden they want to make all these guys great, tremendous players because they're winning. And yet Denver over there has the same 4 guys they won a title with, other than Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. And I think Brown is better than Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, right? So he has everybody he won a title 2 years ago. But what's going to happen coming up here is people going to start ripping on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander that are Jokic fans. And then Shai Gilgeous fans are going to start ripping on Jokic. That's what's going to happen. And that's how people operate. And it's just crazy. It's just both of them are great players, tremendously gifted players. Jokic, what he did to us the other night was sick. Okay. I mean, I've never seen anybody do what he does on the basketball court.
No.
And the man comes to play every night. But what's happened is because you get so many people on his side and they go out and attack everybody because you might say something about them or critical, then all of a sudden, you got to say something. And then, it goes back and forth. And these guys are in the middle of it. And, so it's going to happen, man. It's getting ready to ramp itself up now. Trust me.
For sure. There's something else that's about ready to ramp up. And apparently it's going to be an MMA brawl between Charles Barkley and Kendrick Perkins, which I'm here for. I would love to see this because this is what Charles Barkley had to say about ESPN and Kendrick Perkins being absolutely in love with the Lakers.
I saw a fool idiot on TV talking about the Lakers save the NBA.
Save the NBA.
Yeah. He's an idiot and a fool, but he know who he is. What's his name, Shaq?
Which one you talking about? There's a lot of
Kendrick
fools out
Perkins.
there. Oh.
He said the Lakers, first of all, the Lakers have had a great 2 weeks. He said the Lakers saved the NBA season. That's because them fools on the other network, which we're going to be working for next year, that's all they talk about. Let me tell y'all something.
Tell me something.
And first of all, I want all the smoke. I don't whistle when I walk by the graveyard or anything like that.
I don't whistle when I walk by the graveyard.
Right.
I like that.
Hey,
one.
man.
I'm stealing that one.
The Lakers are doing great. Got a long way to go. But the reason the season's been going great for the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Y'all just want to talk about the Warriors and the Lakers. They're both doing great. Don't get me wrong. If I turn out to be wrong, I got no problem with that. But y'all are idiots because y'all talk about the Lakers and the Warriors all the time. Y'all don't. The Cleveland Cavaliers have won 12 straight games. The Oklahoma City got the MVP and they are on fire. Y'all are talking about who's in second place. That's the reason I get pissed. Hey, the Lakers are doing great. I don't mind being wrong. The Warriors are doing great. But that's because you fools on other networks, which we're going to become fools next year. We'll be working on that network. But Oklahoma City and the Cavs been balling for 6 months.
I love Chuck, man. I love he just does not give a you know what. He just doesn't. And Kendrick had something to say as well in this tweet that he put out on social media. He said, "Hey, he added NBA on TNT, which is crazy. Might want to tell that senior citizen Charles Barkley that I'll be around. When he see an idiot or a fool in person, make sure he keep that same energy. He can come playing with me if he want to, and I'm gonna address his ass like the numbers on a house, straight from the 409 homeboy, and we bar none and fade all. Hashtag Texas boy." Listen, I don't know if Kendrick is familiar with Chuck, but Chuck doesn't give up. You know what? And he has fought Shaq in a game. He does not care. And I have no doubt that if he did see Kendrick Perkins and it got physical, he would still throw hands. Like, that's just who Charles is. I kind of like it because he has a point. Charles has a point because that's all you see every single time you turn into anything on ESPN. It's always Lakers. It's always Lakers, Warriors, Lakers, Warriors, Lakers. And then sometimes it's Knicks and Celtics. Always. Even when the Knicks are terrible. Knicks. It's exhausting when they only talk about the same teams over and over again and completely disregard some of the great stories in the NBA, which is hurting the league. It is absolutely hurting the league. Like, you can't tell me it isn't.
Cleveland and Oklahoma City, they epitomize what professionalism is, what dedication is to their craft, and the desire to win. Historically in the NBA, those are the teams that we've gravitated to. That's why the Celtics and the Lakers, they're the two best franchises in the NBA ever because they have won. And they've gotten their due when they have won. But now the due should go, regardless if you think they're going to win a title, regardless, I think it's going to be tough for Oklahoma City to do it. I think it's going to be tough for Cleveland to do it. But regardless of it, it's a marathon. So far, they're ahead of the marathon. And I know when you watch a marathon on TV, you focus on the guys in front. You're not way back there in like fifth place and saying, "Oh man, he's running good. Oh man, I mean, he's really playing. He's really running. Look how he drank that water. I mean, he's just catching up." Like, you don't put the camera on that guy. You put the camera on the guy that's in the league. You know, and right now, those two should be talked about more than anything. So I get what Charles is saying. And like the clickbait that goes on now is just out of control. Look, everybody knows I'm a LeBron fan. I don't hide it. I don't hide it. Like, if the Suns can't win a title and he's playing, I'd probably hope that he wins. Yeah. Everybody has a favorite. Like, I don't dislike anybody he's going against, but everybody picks and chooses a guy that they would like to win. My reason for wanting him to win is because people want him to lose. That's why. Because they don't want him to catch somebody or do something or whatever. And it doesn't even matter if he catches MJ. He's still not going to be the GOAT in their eyes. It doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
I just like to see guys that dedicate themselves win. That's all. That's always been the case with me. I can't stand guys that don't dedicate themselves and they win. That's just how I look at it. And so that's what Charles is saying. Give those teams their props. The Lakers are not saving the league right now. They're not. And look, Kendrick and I talk. So I'm not choosing sides totally because of unfamiliarity with either guy.
Sure.
I mean, Charles is a very good friend of mine, and I like Kendrick. He and I have talked on the phone after certain times he said stuff, and I've said stuff, and all of that. So it has nothing to do with anything other than two guys that's very competitive. They're on national networks, and they're going to speak their mind. But the one thing I don't want is to hear, oh, we're going to fight and we're going to do this. Just keep it with basketball. If Charles is going to say something, just go back at him. So, yeah, I just, the adjectives that Charles put on Kendrick, I don't think that is called for. And then the challenge to fight is not called for from Kendrick. So, I think both were wrong in their terminology and how they describe the other. And I think that part needs to stop.
I agree. It is fun to watch, though. And it is fun to see, Charles kind of listen. He said what needed to be said, and I think he was accurate. It's very funny that he will be working for that network next year, and I'm really interested to see how that's all gonna work out. Who's gonna be doing what?
I have no idea how that's gonna work.
Oh man, I don't know how it's going to work either, but I am fascinated to see what I do think it's going to provide a little bit more balance to what ESPN brings to the table. I do think that because I think Charles is the type of guy that understands like you can't always just deride the same teams over and over and over again and expect the league to continue to grow. Like at some point, the distribution has to be equitable in terms of who are the good teams and what you're focusing on. It can't just be the big cities. Otherwise, you're going to lose some of the audience. And as Suns fans, we all know that. Like when the Suns were the best team in the league, barely got any burn on ESPN. Why? Because it was always about the Lakers. It's always, the Lakers are falling apart. Why is this happening to the Lakers? Blah, blah, blah. And never about like the Suns are just legitimately one of the better teams in the league. And Chris Paul and Devin Booker like over and over again. It's exhausting.
Yeah, and you know what? I'll say this. Can I say this? Like,
yeah, go ahead.
People get on Charles and they get on Shaq and they get on Kenny and all of that, right? And the one thing I think people need to learn from them is that none of those three guys, maybe Shaq to a point, but at the point now he doesn't care. I mean, but those guys aren't actually chasing like attention with clickbait. And they weren't hired because of their followers. Like they weren't hired. They were hired because of Kenny won championships. So you can't push back on that. Kenny wasn't quote unquote a great player, but he was a part of back-to-back championships. And in Houston. And Charles didn't win a championship, but we know that he's one of the greatest power forwards that's ever played this game. And Shaq is one of the greatest players that's ever played, probably arguably the most dominant player that's ever played the game. So they come with a heavy resume. What we're seeing now is we're seeing people hired to do games, and their resume and what they're being hired for is not that high. They're being chosen because of followers. And to me, it takes away some stuff, man. Like old school guys that called games back in the day, Bill Walton, Snapper Jones, like Mike Fratello, those guys, man, they were basketball aficionados. Like now we're getting people because of their looks and how many followers they got. And all of that, and that doesn't thrill me at all. You know, it doesn't thrill me at all. Because you put me in a room, me personally, I speak for myself, put me in the room with any of them. Put me in a studio with any of them. I'll talk basketball around their ass. But because I've been out of the league a long time, I'm an older guy, you know, I'm not heavily into social networking to that point. Like, they're going to get an advantage. But don't let it slip. If they ever want to step to me and talk the game, I'll run wings around them. And that's all I'm saying. So that's the era we're in right now. It's not about what you've done. It's not about what you've done. It's how many followers you got.
Well, that's what you need to do.
It's crazy.
That's what you need to do right there. If you go on air on a telecast and you talk like that, I promise you, you'll get a gig at ESPN relatively soon. Before we do end up, listen, every now and then in life, you get an opportunity to do something pretty cool. And my man EJ was out and he did something that was kind of, you know, a birthright trip of sorts. And listen, man, you went out to Africa, to Ghana. And, you know, if you didn't get a chance to really see what EJ's Instagram story, you know, it was just truly remarkable, some of the things that you got to see and experience. So why don't you share your side? What that was like? And why don't you start with this picture right here?
Yeah, one of the most impactful things for me, and something for me as a African American growing up, was trying to really, like, sometimes close my eyes and really understand what my ancestors went through. And, you know, going over there was going to help me. It was going to help me. It was going to help me understand it more. And not just say, oh, I'm an African American, but actually go see why I am, right? And that's everybody, really. I mean, you know, it's some Chinese Americans that's never been to China. Like, it's some Europeans that never been back home to Europe. So everybody that lives in the United States, they basically come from somewhere else. Okay? They ain't come from here. They came from somewhere else. And the people that look like me are in Africa. Okay? And that's where my lineage starts. And you see at that door up there, it says door of return, right? So on the other side of that door in this castle, okay, that was connected to the sea, where this castle housed slaves before they put them on a ship, that door of return never was pushed open. No one returned. So 1.5 million, okay, Africans did not return. Those are the ones that went over in the slave trade. They didn't get a chance to what? Come back home. So when I got there, the first thing they said to me was, Eddie, welcome home. And I thought about it. And dude, it hit me. Because those 1.5 could not come home. But part of that 1.5 that did make it in slavery, they weren't thrown off the ship. They didn't die en route. They weren't murdered or hung. They survived, and my lineage was able to be formed. And so that's how you look at it. And so for me, yeah, I'm thankful to be back home. And just the things that we saw, the things that we learned, was just simply something that I would encourage anyone. And we went to Ghana. I would encourage anyone. And look at the friends I developed, man.
Yeah.
Like some of the nicest, tremendous people, man, you ever want to be around. I was in a shopping area. These are all salesmen. And, you know, they're like getting me to buy stuff. Eddie, you know, looking me up on YouTube. Just so excited that I'm there.
Real quick, Eddie, for those of you streaming on our online streaming platforms, make sure you shoot on over to gophnx.com to continue this conversation. Go ahead, Eddie. Sorry.
Yeah, so it was just unreal. Just the beauty of this continent and how it's growing, but also the disappointments of it. Just seeing people that struggle, but seeing people that work hard, and just, man, we were nonstop, put it that way. 11 days we were there, And I'm telling you, we when we were done every day, we were done 6, 7, 8 at night. We had a chance to go eat dinner, and then we were up again at it the next morning.
Yeah.
And we stayed on the coast, but we just drove everywhere and just seeing the villages and going to the schools, having children perform for us. It was just simply amazing, man. And over the period of time coming up here, I'll put video up of certain things that we did there and pictures that I have. But it was a tremendous opportunity for me to go back home, man, and experience it and just see people, man, that really appreciate us coming back to really, just to come see. And that was the beauty of this whole trip.
That was really cool. Like I said, I got to follow your Instagram story and see what you were getting into, and some of that stuff was just truly remarkable. You showed one of the tunnels, or one of the of where the slaves had to go into, and how just the conditions of it and how small it was and how many people you can imagine were in that space. It just, like, I got emotional looking at it. Like,
terrific,
that is just a tragedy that you can't even fathom. And then on top of that, I'm 45 years old, and honestly, in my life, I have not, I was never really close to family, and I didn't really, embrace or ask questions about family. My mom is white, my dad's black, and my dad's black, and he's deaf, and he grew up in the middle of Texas, in Shiro, Texas, in the middle of the 40s, 50s, and 60s, in the middle of all the, obviously the civil rights movement and a lot of things. And not only did I question, like, how much did he realize what was going on? I know he knew that racism exists, but like, how much was he aware of what was going on around him, and what he could and could not do? Like, that was a reality. And then on top of that, like, to learn more about my ancestry, and then I found out that, like, my family, my ancestors actually came from Germany. A black slave in Germany found his way over here to America, and that's where the Bookman name originated from. And I didn't know that. And so I learned that, some years ago, and more recently, I've been getting into more of my ancestry to find out, like, where did I come from? Who was I associated with and stuff like that. So it's just really cool to see, that lineage go back, and you kind of find out where you're going and where you came from and all that good stuff. And so kudos to you, man. That was a truly remarkable trip. And definitely made me want to go, for sure.
Yeah. Hopefully you will go. I'm telling you, I went to a renaming ceremony where they actually give you your name, and Kofi is my name. So I'll be making some shirts with Kofi. Oh yeah. So it's like it was a very emotional ceremony. It truly was. And I'm just telling you, man, just the graveyards we went to, just all the stuff that the slaves went through, that you just mentioned a couple of them, where, how they were housed, how they were treated. It's just, I mean, I can't even imagine it, man. I mean, it's like, if you don't tear up from watching that and just experiencing it and seeing it, you will tear up. It's a guarantee, because it's one of the most horrific periods that obviously we've ever seen. But again, it's a jovial country in Ghana. It's a tremendous continent, and to encourage people just to go, just to visit. They pretty much are high in tourism right now. Tons of Americans were there when I was there, and it was just beautiful to see.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that, EJ. Glad you're back safe and happy, and with a different perspective on, I'm sure, on life in general.
Yes, sir.
Just, it has an impact for sure. So thank you all so much for joining us today on another episode of Outside Shots. It's been a while. It's been a couple weeks, but we'll be back actually this Friday. Another episode this Friday morning at 9:00 as usual. For now, you can follow him at JumpShot8 on Twitter and on Instagram. You can follow me at Saul_Bookman, and you can follow the show at PHNX_Suns. And make sure you follow the postgame show tonight, pregame and postgame show, as the Suns take on the Grizzlies. Until next time, folks, we love y'all. Peace.
Peace.